Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. JLR investigates. Come on in. We're going to have some breakfast. We're going to talk. Some drama going on in the Bryan Kohberger case between the Goncalves family and a air mail writer named Howard Blum. Let's talk. Oh my gosh, delicious orange juice. Got some eggs. We're going to have a protein day. Goncalves family is very upset right now. Very, very upset with an author, a guy named Howard Blum, who we've spoken about on this channel. We're going to eat. We're going to chat. Covering the Bryan Kohberger case. Come on in, everyone. Power pack protein. We're going to give you a lot of protein this morning. A lot of beef. A lot of beef between the Goncalves family and Howard Blum. A lot of beef. So much that the Goncalves family had to put out a statement about Howard Blum's writing. Howard Blum operates this air mail publication. It's a pay publication. You have to pay to access it. But he put out some stuff about the Goncalves family, and the Goncalves family saying it is 100% fake, false, more or less. And I'm going to share with you a statement. Statement by the Goncalves family. We're going to read this statement. As it is common in these situations, people try to make money off of the dead. It's a free world, and people can write and say pretty much anything they want these days. Most of the time, my family and I just ignore the chatter and the noise. But the lines have to be drawn somewhere. I was recently sent an article on airmail by Howard Blum describing Kaylee, apparently quoting me and completely making up a fictional story about FBI letters, etc. Mr. Blum recently has used the murders to get back into the spotlight, appearing on NBC show as well as a book, and he quoted the book he is writing. He has reached out through our attorney several times to speak to us, but we have declined. I just want to make it very clear to the public that we have not spoken to Mr. Blum about the death of our daughter. In his article, he writes as if he were Mr. Goncalves, and this is coming from the Goncalves family's attorney, wrote this statement, by the way, through the Goncalves family. In his article, he writes as if he were Mr. Goncalves and has gone through the tragedy of having a murdered daughter and what he has experienced and is still experiencing. This is nothing more than grandstanding and a very, very poor attempt at getting attention. This piece is obviously fictional, but written in poor taste. The Goncalves family would ask that everyone please respect the victims of this tragedy and continue. Give me 1 second. There might be an ending. Got cut off. More or less, this piece is obviously fictional. Yeah, so it ends there, unless I cut it off wrong. But the Goncalves family is very upset at this Blum guy, who I've called out before. This is the second time now. Mr. Blum, who used to write for the New York Times, and I think Vanity Fair, has been called out for fake writing regarding the Bryan Kohberger case. He is the same writer that the New York Post had to write an article about way back in February earlier this year. Howard Blum was the one that wrote that the FBI lost track of Bryan Kohberger when he left Pullman to go on that cross-country trip to Pennsylvania with his father. FBI denies losing suspect Bryan Kohberger during cross-country follow. This is an article back in February. The FBI on Thursday denied losing Bryan Kohberger during a 3-day cross-country trip before his arrest in the high-profile murders of four Idaho students. True crime author Howard Blum, who is penning a book on the shocking slayings, claimed in a roughly 15,000-word, 2-part special for airmail that the Fed's surveillance squad lost the 28-year-old murder suspect almost as soon as he left for the road trip for the holidays in Pennsylvania. The former New York Times reporter claims sources told him with a bristle of embarrassment that for several alarming hours or more, the chief suspect in a quadruple homicide that had shocked the nation has seemingly vanished. However, on Thursday, the FBI bluntly denied Blum's reporting. The FBI is aware of reports detailing alleged FBI surveillance on Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger, a spokesperson said. There are anonymous sources providing false information to the media. Publishing of false information to anonymous sources is not helpful to the case against Bryan Kohberger or the American public, the spokesperson said. So Blum has done this before. Have anybody there subscribed to that airmail, which you have to pay to access? The Goncalves family is not happy with Howard Blum. Now, he replied to me on Twitter one time. So I kept tagging him. Newspaper articles out, by the way. Just came out. This is by KHQ. Investigative reporter accused of spreading falsehoods in University of Idaho murder series. And it just came out. The father of Kaylee Goncalves, one of the 4 University of Idaho students murdered last November, accused an investigative journalist of spreading falsehoods in a series of TV appearances. In a digital publication series, The Eyes of a Killer, Howard Blum reports on the Moscow murders. He claims that Steve Goncalves was conducting his own investigation into the murders in conjunction with the official investigation conducted by law enforcement. Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Goncalves family, said. He went on to say that Blum accuses Goncalves of taking liberties with the case, particularly jeopardizing Bryan Kohberger's case. Whoa. In a statement from the Goncalves family lawyer, Steve Goncalves denounced much of what Blum states in his publication, saying Blum is profiting from his dead daughter and his family's grief. I just want to make it very clear to the public that we have not spoken to Mr. Blum about the death of our daughter. This is nothing more than grandstanding and very, very poor attempt at getting attention. This piece is obviously fictional, but written in poor taste. See, what I've noticed about Blum in his reporting is he does put out stuff, right? He puts out stuff that we all been following this case know, and pieces is all together. But then he comes out, what I've noticed, what I've seen, is like fan fiction, science fiction writings, and adds his own spice to this stuff. And then starts going into it, different things that seem like they're not true. The Goncalves family would ask that everyone please respect the victims of this tragedy and continue to support trustworthy journalism. Blum has contacted the Goncalves family for an interview, which they say they have declined multiple times. So where's Blum getting this stuff from? Is he making it up? Someone else telling him this? Is he acting like he knows the Goncalves family and he doesn't? Is he peddling around stories for that book that he's writing? That's 2 times now he has been called out. But the media seems like they co-sign him by having him on their networks. Delicious breakfast. Goncalves family should send him a retraction notice. A demand notice. Take this information down or else. Or we're going to take legal action against you. Then you can go through the discovery phase and everything like that in a possible lawsuit to find out how he came to that conclusion to write these things about the Goncalves family that the Goncalves family says is not true. What do you think? There's also another big thread, a Reddit thread on Howard Blum about his prior reporting. It's an interesting read. And it's people calling out Howard Blum about his inconsistencies with his reporting. A lot of errors. Said he couldn't even get Murphy right when he wrote about the dog, Kaylee's dog. Blum contradicts his own bogus claims about the Elantra from part 1. I guess this air mail or book or Eyes of a Killer has different parts, and he's releasing these different parts. And in each part, he's releasing these bombshell stuff, allegedly. And that's where people are starting to have problems with it. Everyone writes a book about everything. Protein breakfast. So it says, Blum contradicts his own bogus claim about the launch in part 1. According to his own article, part 1, L.E. had no idea what was going on with the Elantra until the gas station footage surfaced on December 13th, which he calls a good scene. Ridiculous. Let's not forget the fabricated Christmas miracle story in part 1. Blum claimed Chief Fry became excited on December 20th that the crashed Elantra in Oregon was the killers, only to be disappointed. So according to this, in part 1 of this Eyes of a Killer, Blum wrote that Chief Fry was excited on December 20th that the crashed Elantra in Oregon. Remember that Oregon crashed vehicle? Everyone was like, hey, he's a Kohberger. Was the killers, only to be disappointed. All of this nonsense fails to align with anything else we have learned about the Elantra. Now Blum claims L.E. issued a November 25th BOLO for the 11 to 16 white Elantra. Actually, the PCA states the secret 11/5/25 BOLO, be on the lookout, was for a white Elantra, without giving a year. As we know from the PCA, the FBI expert special agent further review insisted the car was a 2011 to 2013 for an unknown period of time. On December 7th, L.E. told the public it was 11 to 13 because that is what L.A. believed. You can see how some vague statements in the PCA bred misleading and false claims. Eventually, L.E. will have to explain the discrepancy in the vehicle years. We've always asked that on this channel. How did it go from 11, 13, all the way up to what Bryan Kohberger had, which was a different year? Never got that answer. But more or less, this whole thread is calling out Howard Blum. So you got people on Reddit calling out Howard Blum. You got Steve Goncalves calling out Howard Blum. You got the FBI calling out Howard Blum. Howard Blum continues to release these got to pay to watch, right? Got to pay to watch. Can't just give out story writing for free, right? Got to pay. Airmail is behind a paywall. I'm reading you guys' comments. Let me see your comments. Oh, we got a trash truck here. So I'm en route. I am in Hoover, Alabama. Enjoying a nice, beautiful day. Oh my God, this weather is the best of the best. Sunny, 80 degrees, low humidity. It feels like crisp fall air. You can't get any better than this. I had an opportunity to eat biscuits and gravy. We were going to serve Howard Blum on some biscuits and gravy, but we decided to serve him with protein, beef, sausage, beef. Is sausage even beef? Sausage even considered beef? Phone vibrating. So that is the latest. What's going to happen with Howard Blum? Is he going to continue to do his writings? Is he going to continue to make things up as he goes? What's his story? Maybe he has another side to his story. Maybe there's something that he knows that we don't know. Maybe he will respond to the Goncalves family. But that's strike 2 for him in reference to people around this case that are calling him out. Will there be a strike 3? Will he respond to the Goncalves family? Remains to be seen. What's going to happen with the Bryan Kohberger case? Anyone plan on going to the trial? Anyone plan to go to any court hearings? I want to see him at least once. Don't know when I'm going to be able to do that, but I'm thinking one of these court hearings before trial, I want to just see him because, you know, I've been covering the case extensively, so I want to kind of just see him to see him. And if it's worth $1,000, then so be it. It might not even be worth that much, but that's how much the cost would be to get up there. It's expensive to get out to Moscow, Idaho. Flights have been going up in price, too. Everywhere you go now, it's at least $500 one way. $400, $500. Unless you advance it way back. But court hearings, you can't do that because, you know, court hearings pop up at any given time. I see you guys are commenting on a lot of pork. Howard Blum. Oh, by the way, this is Howard Blum. I'll show you Howard Blum. Howard Blum. So you guys know who Howard Blum is. Who is Howard Blum? Howard Blum is this guy. He's been writing about the Moscow, Idaho case. So you guys know. What do you think? Or do you find his reporting credible? Or do you think it's a combination of both, bad and good? I'm not always correct on my reporting. I get it wrong sometimes. And a lot of times reporters do. I think there's a difference in that and someone putting purposely misinformation out on purpose, like creating fake stories, like on purpose. I think there's a big difference there. Especially if you're writing a book, because in a book, you have a lot of time. You have time. It's not the urgency of breaking news where you have to get the thing out and you might be wrong on some details. But when you have a book, it's premeditated. It's you can sit back and write a book. And you would think you would want your book as accurate as possible, or your story, or your publication as accurate as possible. So, I don't know. Will he change his ways or will he continue? Will he say the Goncalves family's lying? And I stand a lot of times. Oh, he responded to me. I'm going to show you his response. He responded to me on Twitter. I tweeted this out, and I tagged him, and I said, "Hi, Howard Blum. Any comment about the FBI calling you and your Airmail weekly publication out for producing a fake Bryan Kohberger story?" And he responds to me. And he says, "I respect the borough, but they're simply wrong how this went down." I said, "Thanks for the response. Noted." So is the FBI lying? Well, we know the FBI does lie. They also tell the truth. The fog of misinformation. Or everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. I am JLR Investigates, covering the Moscow, Idaho case. What's going to happen? We will talk soon. Good morning. Done breakfast. Going about my day. Hopefully you guys have a great day. We'll talk soon. Book promotion. Maybe I should write a book. I know the ins and outs of this case pretty well. You could sit me next to anyone, and we could go back and forth and talk about this case, and specifics, and names, and characters, and details. You could have me talk with the best of them. I think I'd be able to hold my ground well. I still Google around every day, anything new on Kohberger. It's really, his case is, his story, the story's kind of dying down, believe it or not. I think it'll pick up with, once the venue possibly gets changed, or some sort of bombshell stuff gets revealed. I believe you can hold your own. The only thing that was running wild, I think, on my end on this, well, one, a lot of you guys think the presumption of innocent on Kohberger. I've already made the determination in my mind that he's guilty. So some people say, well, that's not fair in reporting. He just has to go through the process right now, and the process takes a while, whatever. And also, before he was caught, the speculation of names, because there were a lot of names being thrown out all over the place. And I think everyone that been following this case was part of that. The names, all the characters and names involved. But it irons itself out. I hope all those people out there at the beginning stages are doing fine. It's now almost, 9 months later? 10 months later. Whoa, 11 months later. What date is this? It's the 10th. Oh my God, it's been almost 11 months since this tragedy happened. Time flies, doesn't it? Weather's about to change. I remember when I was in Moscow in December, it was like 15 degrees. It's 80 degrees out here in Alabama. It's 15 degrees 2 months from now. Jurors. Who's the jury going to be? Who's the jury going to be? Who's coming to the Carly Russell hearing? What happened to the FAT man who threatened you? I do not know. They probably dropped that case. That was the guy outside the Moscow home. I was just out there, and he comes up my car and starts screaming at me. He makes threats to me. Gets taken out in cuffs. I'm not going to engage with these people, I'm there focusing on the Moscow, Idaho case. Anyone that comes in as a side circus, you're not going to get anywhere with me. You come at me, you go away in cuffs. That's it. End of story. You can't just threaten somebody and go up to somebody and say, oh, you can't film here. This is my street. What? Can't do that. His case probably got dropped, but that guy has an habitual. That guy, you know, I dug in on that guy. I don't even remember his name offhand. I think his name is Kirk. Kirk Adams, maybe. I forget that guy's name. Anyway, that guy has a history of getting arrested in the last year in Moscow for a bunch of like disorderly conduct and disturbing the peace. He'll probably get a slap on the wrist. That's how they do in Moscow, right? Got to keep the jails empty. Got to allocate all your money towards Kohberger. Kirk Adams. My mod said it's Kirk Adams, and he's a town nuisance. Drives around Moscow with big flags out of his car. Or truck or SUV, whatever he drives. Scary, though. Forget that dude. He's rude. Got a new tripod. Got a new tripod. Thanks for the support. Yeah, I can't believe I went to a protest the other day, or a rally. Pro-Palestinian, pro-Israel. And I turned around and somebody stole a tripod. It's a $25 tripod. Well, they might not think that. They might think, oh, look, I got myself an expensive tripod. It's a $25 tripod. But it works wonders for me. A lot of times when I fly into locations and cover cases, I don't really want to take this on the plane, you know. So I just get off and go to like a local Walmart and go buy one real quick. Those are cheap. You got to use it for the work. I think tripods are important to give you guys the visual of what's going on. Give you guys... Tomorrow I'll be tripoding in front of the Hoover Municipal Building. This will be interesting with Carly Russell, by the way. And I'm just jumping on to Carly Russell. There's 2 doors to this Hoover Municipal Building. So she could go through either or. So it's going to be tough to really determine which way she goes in. Or they could give her special treatment and let her in through the side door. We'll see if she receives special treatment. But do you think she'll receive special treatment knowing what she did to the Hoover Police Department? I think they want that perp walk. She's gonna have to park it. If not, if she doesn't get special treatment, she's gonna have to park right into that parking lot and walk through the cameras, like any defendant does when they go to the courthouse. We see the images. Defendants. What I love covering cases is the defendants that are out on bail and bond. I don't like cases where they're already detained because, you know, they're already coming through the Sally Port or some side door or whatever, like with the sheriff's van or marshal's van or whatever, and you know, they go through the court. You can't get that perp walk. But the perp walk is good stuff because sometimes they stop and give a statement. Sometimes they talk. Sometimes they don't. Their reaction, regardless of what they do, whether they stay stone face or they talk or they smile or they frown or they give the finger, whatever, is newsworthy. So we'll see who Carly Russell comes to court tomorrow with. Still a big case. Will she plead out? The judge put a order about the cameras in the courtroom. No cameras are allowed in the courtroom. He's not going to make an exception with this case. Everyone wants to see the perp walk, but you know JLR will try to get that best footage of her walking in. With my own line of questioning. So that will be interesting to see. I think she'll end up knowing. I think she'll get probably 6 months incarceration. I'm thinking 6 months is kind of not the max, but not a slap on the wrist and enough to scare someone straight. If I was a betting man, and I had to lay chips on the table, and I don't go to Vegas very often. And when I go to Vegas, I usually just go for shows and buffets. I don't gamble. But if I was a betting man, I would say 6 months. She's going to get some time. I don't think she's going to get any type of probation on this. Only because she still hasn't purged herself and let the authorities know. So there's going to be a lot of people out there tomorrow, I believe. People, spectators, community members, media. It will be a wild scene. So I'll start live streaming on that front tomorrow morning and show you what's going on outside the Hoover County Municipal Building. We'll go from there. You guys have a good morning. JLR Investigates. Thanks for having breakfast with me, by the way. What time are you going to be live tomorrow? 8 a.m. 8 a.m. She has court 10. I'll set up around 8 Central. So it'll be 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific. We'll go about 8 Central. Take care, everyone. Have a good day. JLR Investigates. Cheers.